Today we're going to be doing the basic algorithm for division in base 5. So the problem we're going to be working with is 432 divided by 5 in base 5. Now because we're working in base 5, we're going to represent this on a base 5 chip model, which I'll put directly below it. Because we're working in base 5, we're going to have the 1's place, the 5's place, and the 25's place. The next thing we're going to do is represent this number right here down on our chip model. So because we have 4 in the 25's place, we're going to represent that with 4 chips, 3 in the 5's place, and 1's place has 2. So we'll represent that with 2 chips. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to, because we're dividing by 5, we're going to make 5 groups underneath the chip model. So now we have 5 groups because we're going to be dividing these into 5. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the chip model and we're going to try to see, can we evenly distribute these 4 chips into these 5 equal groups? And the answer is no, we cannot evenly distribute 4 chips into 5 groups. So with that being said, we're going to move back up to the algorithm and we're going to make that a 0 under here because we have 0 groupings of 25. So what we're going to do next is, because we can't break them down equally into these groups, we're going to unbundle the 25s into 4 groupings of 5s. So we're going to move all of these over here and break them down. So now we just unbundled 4 25s and made that into 4 groupings of 5s. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the 5s and we're going to transfer what's on the chip model up to the algorithm. So what we're going to do is we're going to count how many 5s we have, and all together here we have 23 5s. So we're going to put 23 down here because we brought down the 3 that we already had and we transferred 20 over here. So all together we have 23. The next thing that we're going to do is break these groups of 5 evenly, break these grouping, this entire group of chips evenly into these 5 groups. We're going to see how many chips will be in each group if we equally distributed all of them into this group. So we're going to start by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3 chips left over. So what we're going to do next is we realize that we were able to equally distribute these 5s into the 5 groups equally 4 times. So we'll put a 4 on the bottom, and above the 3, because we're working in the 5's place, we go to the 5's place in the 432, and we will put a 4 above that because we can equally distribute these chips evenly 4 times. So altogether, if we're counting, we have 20 chips, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So we have 20 chips, so on the algorithm, we represent that with 20 because we have 20 chips here. What we're going to do next is we realize that we still have 3 little chips left over that we need to distribute. So what we're going to do is take those chips and move them into the ones place. Now, we move those 3 chips into the ones place, but those 3 chips are 5s chips, which means if we're making them ones place, we have 3 5s chips, so 5 times 3, 15. These ones chips automatically equal 5 apiece. So, though we moved 3 over, altogether these 3 represent 15 ones. So what we're going to have to do is make 15 chips, so ignore the fact that I moved them over already. We're going to add 15 little ones chips. So now we just added 15 and 2. So altogether here we have 17. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the 17 in the algorithm, making sure to be sure that we are connecting the 2. So now we have 17 all together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to evenly distribute these 17 chips into the 5 groups. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we could equally distribute them. 15. We can equally distribute them so that each grouping gets 3. So what we now know is each grouping has 3. So because we have a 4 here, each grouping of 1s gets 3. So now we have to count how many we have equally distributed into the groups, how many is all together, and all together will be 15. So we have that, and now we have 2 little chips left over, and there's nothing we can do with those. So that is a 2. So now, when we look at it, actually this is all supposed to be moved over to under here. I knew that. So now we know that we have 2 left over, and there's nothing that we can do with those little 2 because they're already broken down enough. So after we've unbundled all these groups, equally distributed it among the groups, and saw how many little chips each group got, the answer is 43 with a remainder of 2.